And give me a little bit of background about you and what you're doing in life.
Yeah, my name's Hunter Jack. I'm a fifth generation native from the Valley.
From the Valley.
Yeah, I have a furniture business now that I
Okay.
bought back in April. Before that, I did flooring for about 9 years. I have two kids. They're 9 and 6, little girls.
Last night, I felt like I picked up, are you not with the mother anymore? Were
I'm
you guys
not.
married?
We
Okay.
were married. Yep. So my oldest daughter is not biologically mine. I came into the picture when she was 1.
The 9-year-old.
Fell in love with that little girl.
Yep.
I stayed with her mom. We got married pretty specifically, so at least on my end, so that I could adopt her.
I knew you were gonna say that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so things didn't really work out with us. I started drinking and partying pretty hard when I was about 14 and using drugs, and that came into mostly at the time it was just weed.
How old are you now?
I'm 29 now.
Okay, so 14, so last 15 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
I left Alamosa when I graduated and moved to Durango. I was going to go to school up there. I went to college for a year, and then I found out that I had cancer. Stopped and did chemo for a year. When I finished up, I went on a trip and then ran out of money in my travels and ended up back here with my parents, and I met my ex-wife the day I moved back. And life was just kind of, I'd been in a pretty good place, but all of a sudden all my plans had just sort of flipped upside down. I wasn't in school anymore. I was back here, which I didn't really want to be at the time.
How old are you now? Like around 19, 20, 21?
20.
Okay.
Yep, 20. Just didn't know what I was doing. I had some friends that started doing coke, and I got around it, and I just loved it.
Yeah.
The last 9 years, I've been pretty hooked on cocaine and drinking, and struggled multiple times to try to quit. And I had small periods of sobriety.
On your own?
On my
Not
own.
through a rehab
Not
facility?
through a rehab
Okay.
facility, yeah. And for the most part, it became a problem way before I realized that it was a problem.
Yeah.
My ex was about to leave at the time. We used to use a little bit together.
Okay.
Things got wild. She said, "Hey, if you don't stop, I've got to go. We've got to go. We can't be around."
Do you have a kid? Does she have her daughter at that point?
Yep. So she had her full time when I met her.
Okay.
Said we just can't be around this.
Yeah.
And so I quit. But when I quit that, the drinking just
Became more.
became more and more.
So you substituted the one coke addiction with, okay, I'm not doing this, so let me just drink, and that became your next addiction.
Yep.
Okay.
And I had been a daily drinker since I was about 14.
Yep.
So that just kind of came easy and went harder. I worked for a family in flooring that they were great people, treated me really well, but we all partied, we all drank. We had kids the same age, so it was easy to get together on the weekends and party and drink and do that type of thing. But I pretty quickly,
This is all in the Valley still, right?
all in the Valley,
Okay.
yep. I pretty quickly started to take it further. I didn't like when the night was over.
Yeah.
I got back into the coke, and for a while I managed both, I thought. But it kind of just took over everything that I was doing. I mean, it became more important to do
Did they
that.
know that you were doing coke and stuff like that?
I think they had an idea.
Just curious.
When I had first started,
Yeah.
my boss caught me
Yeah.
and thankfully gave me an opportunity to stay on. And I cleaned up my act. And then for a while, I think it was like, we know he does it, but he does good at work.
Yeah.
Just not too, not sure how to handle it. The funny thing about it that I realize now that I don't think I did then is that I tried to get sober for my kids, for my ex-wife, not really for me. I was enjoying it. And
Yeah.
I was, that's the truth. I think everybody around somebody who's an addict or an alcoholic sees that it's a problem quite a ways before the
You see
person
it,
actually
yeah.
does. And that was absolutely the case in my life. Everybody knew that I had a problem, and I didn't want to accept that.
Yeah.
And I grew up here. My parents are pretty well known in the Valley. My mom was the president of a bank while I was growing up. My dad, again, fifth generation. So we know everybody. So for me, it was also something that was like, I have to hide this part of me.
I was going to ask, did your parents know?
My parents knew, yeah, but I'm pretty well known around here. And
So in the community, you had to keep it as hidden as possible.
Exactly. Yep. Which is hard, to have that struggle and then not be able to let people know and not be able to talk about it is difficult.
You're living a secret life,
Yeah, exactly.
which is in its own right super stressful.
Yeah. So I tried to get clean and sober about a year and a half ago or a year ago. Um, at the beginning of 2024, I lasted about 80 days and was just kind of, as they say, white knuckling it. I actually, it was the day before I bought the furniture business. I had a drink and I spent the next year just really falling down a rabbit hole, man.
It's all it takes, right?
Yep.
One drink.
Just one. And by that point, I was about to lose my kids. Of course, my ex had already left. I hated being alone. I had kind of reached a point in my life where it was like, I'm either going to kill myself or I have to quit because I can't keep waking up with,
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't make it through the day. I couldn't make it through the night. I was waking up and drinking myself back to sleep. I was missing work weeks at a time. And it wasn't like I was really going out at that point. I didn't want anybody to know how bad it had gotten.
And you are a furniture owner at this point, furniture store owner? You sell furniture?
Yes, sir. Furniture and mattresses, and I owned the store at this point. It had gotten really bad when I decided to try to quit the first time, and I was missing a lot of work.
Yeah.
And then I cleaned up my act, and this opportunity came to buy the store. I worked really hard at it. I stayed sober, and then just, like I said, one drink. That was it. But it just, I knew I was about to lose everything. My business partner couldn't, I don't think they would have been able to handle it. The people that work for me are great people and have been really supportive, but just the constant lying, I think that, that's something that goes along with it is that I was lying to everybody. I lied to all the people in my family, my friends, the people I worked with. It just gets old and you feel like I feel like a piece of shit about it.
It's a burden to carry.
It is, yeah, and it's shameful. I woke up not sober one morning and just decided I'm going to do something today. Either I'm going to kill myself or I'm going to ask for help. And I drank a little and called my mom and said, I need help. One of my good friends went through this program as well. And
this one that we're sitting in this room for.
This one that we're sitting in this room for. And I just spoke with him a couple days ago. He's got a little over 8 months now, which is cool. I think that's probably as long as he's ever been too, and it's just awesome.
Does he live in the valley?
He does, yep.
So can you guys, as Paul would say, be dorks together? Do you guys hang out?
We don't hang out a lot just because we both have families and we both run businesses. But he was really a big inspiration for me, and he put me in contact with Paul, or rather my mom. I was at the time way too, I was gone.
Yeah.
I couldn't have had any communication with anybody at that point. But Paul helped my mom line everything out, got me into detox here. It was hard coming in here because I knew a lot of people that worked here.
Yeah.
That ended up being a huge blessing for me because there were people that I've known my whole life that had stories and backgrounds that could relate to what I was going through that I would have never really expected,
Yeah.
And somebody said it when Kim and Paul talked last night, that the people here, everyone here, it's just so obvious that they care.
Truly care.
Yeah, it's not just
I caught
a
up
paycheck.
on that too. Yep.
It's just easy to tell that they all really care. And, that kind of set me on my way. I went to rehab, talked to Paul a little bit throughout. It was funny. There was a guy that he's a furniture mover here in town. And when I was in rehab, I had called him to talk about a project that for another company, they just needed a bunch of stuff moved out during a remodel. Mm-hmm. And he said, I'd like to come into your store. I'd like to meet with you. I said, man, I'm actually in rehab. He said, no shit, I own the sober living home in town.
Oh, shit.
And so our connection, he checked on me every day. We got to be really close once I got out. He has me doing a lot of stuff at the sober living home with the guys in there. Just staying involved. One thing that's, I think, really helped me, well, there's a couple things, I'm going to AA, I'm doing the steps. I was able to just reconnect with my belief in God and, just knowing that I can't do this on my own.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of people. The other thing I think was the ability, this time was different. I was at such a point that I think I had felt like I'd already made a fool in front in front of so many people. Everybody knew I had a problem. So I did.
Even though you thought you were hiding it.
For the longest.
Everybody in the town knew.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. I actually posted it on Facebook, which I don't necessarily recommend. I was not quite in the right headspace when I did it.
Yeah.
I was leaving detox to go to rehab. I wasn't super sober still.
Yeah.
But I just said, hey, I'm a dad. I'm a business owner. I'm also an alcoholic and I'm a drug addict and I want to go get help and I want to be honest about this stuff for the first time in my life. I did that on my way to rehab. I remember when I got out, I started thinking, shit, I'm going to be in front of everybody again in public and I fucking put this out there for everybody. Like maybe that wasn't a good idea. But it ended up being so cool, man. So many people reached out to me while I was in rehab and once I got back, just sharing stories of, hey, I'm going through the same thing, or my brother died of this, or my brother's going through it, my sister's going through it, my dad died of cirrhosis, like whatever it was. Just addiction and alcoholism are so prevalent here in the Valley and everywhere else. But there's almost nobody that I've run into that hasn't had this affect their lives in some way, whether it was them or somebody that they loved. There's a stigma around it. You get judged for being an alcoholic or an addict, and I don't think people who aren't understand how hard it is to quit. And then if you jump on the train and admit it, you kind of get judged for that too. But for me, I think I'd rather open about it. It's helping me stay sober when I can talk about it, and that allows me to find other people that support me.
Does it take the burden off of the lying that you thought you were hiding it from so many people when in reality everybody knew anyway?
Yeah.
So it's like all these tons of bricks, or at least you can be your true self.
It does.
And it sounds like the community and your friends have been very supportive, like your furniture store that you own, the employees and stuff. I mean, they support you and you are surrounded by love, I assume?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think one of the crazy things was just first in getting clean and sober, how many people I didn't hear from anymore.
Yeah.
That just kind of went away when the party was over.
And is that a good thing?
At first, it scared the shit out of me because I thought, man, I'm going to be super lonely when I get back out in the real world, But yes, it absolutely became a good thing because the people that went away, their, I guess, places in my life and my heart got filled by folks who actually care. They want to be there. They're people that I can build connections with that aren't based on just the party, just drinking and doing drugs. I mean, they want to be in my life.
So I met Paul personally myself for the first time yesterday. Jordan and I did, and I'd say he's a pretty amazing fucking dude.
Yeah,
Kim, I've known through what I've been doing with Roofers in Recovery, which is a nonprofit that they own for contractors. We both run software companies. Well, he's a marketing guy. I run a software company for roofers.
Okay.
And I've met a lot of roofers in my time. Yeah, this is my company, Project Map It.
Okay.
But because I'm just an outsider looking in, I'm a normie, is what Paul called us.
Right.
So I'm a guy that I do have drinks. I don't drink to excess. I'm pretty good with all that, but I'm not an addict. So Paul called us normies yesterday. You remind me of a young Paul. That's probably in my mind. Just so you know, that's the biggest compliment I can give, because what I've heard from Paul over the last 2 days is pretty amazing. I heard you and Kim talk. I have no clue what it was about. Like at the end of the session last night, Kim had said, I'm going to pay for you for something. She's going to help you out with something.
Yeah.
What is that about?
I make pretty good money, but man, I put all of it up my nose. And so by the time I needed to get help, I didn't have the funds.
Right.
Paul and Kim scholarshiped me to do detox here. And then scholarshiped the first part of my IOP, my intensive outpatient program that I did when I got out of rehab. One thing when I was in rehab, Paul and I talked about, we have a very similar upbringing.
So your story and what Paul has told us and shared, it does sound like a very similar upbringing.
Yeah, definitely. Just, he was well known and had a well known family here. The Valley is kind of like its own little world down here. One of the things he told me, I just told him, I wanted to try to pay him back in some way. And he said, you just got to promise that you try to help create a community of people and try to break this stigma. And so for me, open honesty is, that's what it's about. But also the service man, trying to help other people because I just understand it. I know how absolutely miserable I was for so many years. I was never happy as an adult.
Yep.
I can't remember. I was never sober, but there was nothing I could do to fill the void. Since getting out, just having the opportunity to help some of the guys at the sober living house and just be involved,
I think that's awesome that
share
you're
my
doing that.
story. Yeah, man. I mean, hopefully it's really helpful to them. I know it's absolutely very helpful to me.
Which is the most important thing,
Yeah.
because I'd learned yesterday, you got to just absolutely take care of you before you can think about taking care of anybody else or helping others.
Yeah, it's
You mentioned earlier you were doing it for your kids and your ex-wife, but you weren't doing it for you.
yeah.
Would you say you're now doing it for you?
Absolutely, and I have to because if I'm not putting myself and my sobriety first, I can't be good enough to
Yeah.
take care of anyone else.
Right.
You know, I can't take care of myself at all.
Yeah.
I can't be expected to help anyone else out. So I have to put myself first.
Is this the first time in your 29 years that you've been to a rehab facility, or did you try one before? This is the first one.
This is the first one. Yeah.
And you haven't even mentioned it, or how many days sober are you?
I'm 96 days sober. That's the longest.
And I hope you
I've
know,
been.
I knew that. Remember when you first came in here, before we even started rolling, I'm like, happy 96 days, right? Because yesterday you were very proud that you were 95 days sober.
And I am proud. I think
You should be.
And more than proud, I guess, just grateful. If it wasn't for this place and the people that came and kind of came into my life, man, I wouldn't probably be here right
Yeah.
now. I was at a point where I was done, and I felt like I was fighting for a long time, and I didn't realize that I just kind of had to give in, accept that I can't do it by myself. I need help, you know. And the people that were there to help, that fucking surprised me because it was just like in abundance. I saw God working in my life for the first time. Like everything's changed, man. I have a better relationship with my kids. I've started going with this girl that's just super understanding, very incredible. I think people who go through addiction and alcoholism get this stigma of like, well, they're bad people. Like, and that's not it. This shit takes control of every aspect of a person's life. And it did for me. In the Valley, it's hard to ask for help. I think there's just not that many resources.
Yeah.
So there's not this place has been huge because I remember when I was going to AA meetings 5 years ago, it was 70-plus-year-old people who had 20, 30 years of sobriety.
Yeah.
I go into the rooms now and I love going to AA meetings. I love hearing other people's stories. I love being able to tell my own story to a group of people who understand it.
Yeah.
The crazy part about it, I think, both in going to meetings here and outside of here in Alamosa, is it's younger people now. It's people my age. It's a lot of addicts and alcoholics that can share their stories. And I can take, and I heard a guy say this perfectly, so I'm going to use his words. I heard it in an AA meeting. You know, I can take little pieces of everyone else's stories and create a picture of my life.
So that hits home with me, right? So my story is, you know, I'm not an addict or anything, but my brother is. He owned a bar for over 10 years. He woke up on a couch one day after drinking some bourbon the night before, and I think he knew that my sister-in-law, his wife, was pretty pissed off, and this is not the first time that she was rightfully so pissed off at my brother. And he went up and he made a decision before she even yelled at him. He'd already in his mind decided, okay, I'm going to take a year off of drinking and like, I'll just reevaluate myself, right? Okay. So he called me, told me that we had a good heart to heart or whatever. And like, he went to the 90-90, he went 90 days to AA. He still goes all the time. I think I don't remember. I want to say it's close to 2 years sober now in recovery. Yeah. And the first 3 days at AA, he had called me. I'm like, hey, how's it going, man? He's like, yeah, I fucking hear these stories, and I mean, they're sort of me, but it's not really me. I just don't know. Like, I don't know if AA is the right place. And then literally like a week later, after his 7th meeting, he's like, I can take, now that I'm being real with myself, I listen, like what you just said is exactly what my brother's, I can take all these little stories that I hear that sound totally crazy, and I do all of them. And he's like, and I'm an alcoholic and I can't ever drink the rest of my life. That happened within a 7-day time frame of him going to AA 7 times. So, and another thing, just service. It sounds like you're really putting service together. My brother, so the way I met Kim was I work with contractors. Roofers in Recovery is their nonprofit. I was talking to one of my buddies in the contract. He's a roofer, very good, big time roofer in Pennsylvania. And I was on his podcast and he had mentioned Roofers in Recovery Day. And I'm like, that's what I want. That's the charity I want to support. Because my brother had just been like maybe 2 months, 3 months sober. So I met Kim through that. We run a charity golf tournament where, we hosted 2 charity golf tournaments last year and we raised, I think about $25,000
Oh, wow.
for Roofers in Recovery, which goes to, potentially, being a sponsorship, a scholarship, you called it. Yeah, a scholarship for somebody in this facility. But man, my brother, just through that, Hunter, his friend Dan, who actually runs my golf tournaments. Dave and Dan don't talk all the time, but because of the golf tournament, my brother helped me out. Dan runs my tournaments. Dan saw my brother in the glow that Paul talks about, and just saw the glow. Like, man, look at Dave doing good shit. And he has a kid. He has 2 kids, maybe 3 kids, wife. And I interviewed him kind of like this after the golf tournament. He was just like, yeah, I met your brother and talked to your brother and saw that he was doing better. And I said, I want that. I want that life. Like Paul was saying last night, he's like, I want to be that guy. So your acts of service in the sobriety house and stuff like that, man, keep doing it, dude.
Well, that's what Paul is for me.
I'm telling you, dude, you're a mini Paul.
And also the gentleman who runs the sober living house. I mean, they're just people who I see what they have, how they're doing, how they're living life, and how they're helping people. I want that.
Yeah.
And so what Kim and I were talking about last night is that she's gonna pay for me to go through a 12-week course so that I can do some peer support stuff for them and with the facility. It's just super important to me to stay involved.
So you're gonna come back here and be a peer support.
Yes.
You were just so you know, you were a peer support last night, dude. Your words were awesome.
It means a lot to me, man. It changed my life. I never really gave it a chance before, and being able to be open and honest and have people like Paul and Kim making this impact here in the Valley, or Ivan at the Sober Living Home, just it's breaking this stigma. Like, we can be open and honest and go and seek help and not be ashamed of that. Yeah. And if I can be an outlet to somebody else, somebody that brings people to that opportunity the same way that I was brought to it, I just want to do that. So, I said this a little bit last night, but I just never thought life could be this good. I have a closer relationship with my family, my friends. I'm making relationships with people that really want to be in my life, and I want to be in theirs. The connections are genuine. I'm able to be a better dad. I'm able to show up for people. Like I've never been able to do that before. So it's just every aspect of my life is so much better, and every day it gets better. And it blows my mind at the end of every day. Like, how could it have been that good?
You look like you got the glow, bro.
I mean, I'm just happy. I'm happy.
I forgot to tell you, my brother went from bar owner to financial advisor, went back to school to do that certification. You know what he's doing now? He's working at a rehab facility as a support staff.
That is so cool.
Getting pennies on the dollar probably right now. He wants to get an education, go back and do whatever he needs to like be a little bit more elevated than what he's providing right now. But it's a facility that holds like 100 patients. And like his job is there's a small group going on and they're like, hey, Dave, can you get so-and-so? And he has to go get them. And he's like, yeah, drive the golf cart around. But he's like, it's the best thing in the world. He loves it.
And I can relate to that, man. I mean, I've had a job since I was 11. I have been obsessed with making money my whole life. And at the end of the day, there is no happiness to that for a lot of people. I mean, maybe for a few, but it's not all about money, I'm so fulfilled at the end of my days now.
It should be the last thing. It's not about money. It should be about what's inside and you taking care of you. And if you do that, everybody around you is going to glow.
Yeah, I think just kind of seeing Paul's life and seeing some of these guys that have had a good period of sobriety and who are working on helping as many people as they can with this problem, I see that and I want that because they put good things into the world and good things come back to them.
They're good people,
tenfold.
man.
So it's just,
I want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I want to be that guy. Don't be that guy. I want to be that. Were you that guy?
I was.
Paul mentioned that yesterday in the thing, like, Like it was really cool how he talked about like, yeah, I was doing cocaine, and I was like, yeah, but that guy's doing meth. I'm not going to be that guy. But in the reality and the totality of the whole thing, he was always that guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It sounds like you were that guy because of your story about, you go out with your friends at the flooring place, but then like afterwards they went home and you
Kept
continued.
going. Yep, absolutely. I hit it well, I think, or at least I thought I did. But yeah, I don't know if there's just like a certain arrogance that comes with, especially when you're constantly drunk or constantly high. For me anyway, I felt like that gave me so much confidence
Yeah.
that it was almost always arrogance the way that I carried myself, and which is stupid because at the end of the day I knew what I was doing and
Yeah.
I felt like shit about it.
Yeah.
I'd wake up and I couldn't even get out of bed without drinking because I had so much anxiety and I was so ashamed of what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I knew I was about to go into my day and lie to everybody I came in contact with. And I don't have to do that anymore,
It's awesome,
Just-
dude. I'm so happy for you, man. I want to know, what are you doing 6 months from now? Just 6 months. Don't go beyond 6 months. What are you doing in 6 months?
In 6 months. I'm filling out paperwork right now to start a second business that employs felons and addicts, and it'll be like lawn care, yard maintenance, stuff like that. So a seasonal thing,
Yep.
maybe snow removal, working at the store, just being a dad and being really involved here. I just want to help. My fulfillment over the last few months has just come from helping people. That's what makes me the happiest. And so I don't know exactly what that all looks like. It's just,
If you could paint a picture 5 years from now,
yeah.
where would you like to see your life? What does your life look like in 5 years? Still
Here,
sober?
Still, oh, absolutely. Still
course.
sober. That's first and foremost, and it always will be. But I think doing something in a position where I'm helping other people full time would be great. Still like to have my store. But again,
Are you living in Alamosa?
I am, and I'll be here. I love this place. This is home to me. This is my community. I love the valley. I love Alamosa. I want to be able to help people here. And so if I can be in a position where I'm doing something that helps people full time, whether that be with, recovery, sober living, finding jobs, whatever it might be, that's what I want to be spending my days doing.
Good life spreads, right? So, hearing your testimonial just now and talking to Paul and Kim and hearing about Alamosa, right? Like, we learned that Alamosa is one of the coldest places in the world. I didn't know that. I did look at the weather. I looked at the weather app and it said 60 degrees during the day and like 19 degrees at night. I'm like, where the fuck am I going? Like, what is this place?
I've never lived through 60-degree weather in February, by the way.
Yeah.
This is so nice, it's unheard of. So,
But I've heard, and I'm not shitting on Alamosa at all. I've just heard that it's a tough place, right?
It is.
But I also know, just like my brother who got Dan to be sober as well, didn't get him to be sober. That's pretty shitty to say, but you understand. Like it was inspired. Dan was inspired by my brother's sobriety, and I know that things spread, right? Good life, good love spreads, and it sounds like Alamosa needs a pillar in the community to help spread that love, and it sounds like you wanna provide that service, and maybe if you use the community along with what you've learned about yourself and the good people here at Hope in the Valley, maybe 5 years from now, maybe there's 1,000 people affected by your service.
I just want to be a part of it, I just want
Correct.
to be a part of helping
Because
people, man.
there's a guy, Hunter Ballou, in the contracting space. He talked about legacy. What do you want your legacy to be? And it sounds like you're at a pivotal point in your young life, right? I'm 50, almost 51. You're 29. But it sounds like you're at a pivotal point in your life, and it sounds like you've made the decision to be sober and to give back and to be a better father, a better future husband, but to help this community, man.
And I want that to be my legacy. I want to be able to help people. I want, when I'm gone, for people to come up and tell my kids and my grandkids that I was a good person. That's what matters.
Whoever you surround yourself with, because I appreciated you saying, like, It's not going to be me. It's going to be the community that helps. But like, it's got to start somewhere, right? And Hope in the Valley is a huge start, right? This place has not had a rehab facility, right? So this is amazing because look at what they did. Look what Paul and Kim's vision did. They changed your life,
Absolutely.
right? So now if you and a couple other people change 2 other people and those 2 people change 4 and those 4 change 5 each, like literally that's thousands of people in not a very long time. If you could give any advice, and I'm putting you on the spot, but if there's any, you've already given a shit ton of great advice, but if there's anything that we have not talked about that you really want to say for somebody else to be inspired to be clean and sober.
It's okay to give in. It's okay to ask for help. I didn't want to do that. That was the hardest thing for me, was to ask for help and accept it. It's okay to ask for help. This isn't something that can be done alone, I don't think. So many opportunities will open up when a person does that. They have for me. I've seen it in the community and the friends that I've made along this journey. Have faith, have faith, and life gets better. This life is
You can tell.
so much better
You can tell, bro. You can
than it
tell.
was then.
Yeah.
What this place has done for me, and what the community of people who really have gone through it has done for me. So many of the people that are employed here are in recovery. People understand more than I thought they ever would.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people that want to help if you're looking in the right place. So
I know you're 96 days. Is there anything that you found that you're addicted to? Paul mentioned, what did he do? It was Mountain Dew. He said he drank like 10 Mountain Dews a day. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Paul, like, what the fuck, man?
I drink Red Bulls and 5-hour energies like
Do
they're
you?
going out of
Is that it?
style,
Okay.
man. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a big one.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
it's just having something in my hand
Yeah.
that is almost kind of bitter
Yeah.
is good,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
funny.
understand that completely.
Well, I'm your biggest fan, brother. I mean, you kind of hit it home yesterday with me, like during when you said what you said after Paul was talking and opened up the floor to everybody. So I really appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us and provide us your story.
I'm more than happy.
Your journey is just beginning, man. And I mean, you can shut the cameras off, but I'm pulling for you. I'm here for you. I'm all in with you and your story. I want you to conquer this shit.
Well, I think it's great
For you.
what you guys are doing, man. And I mean, this place saved my life. So it just,
I love it.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.